So, can you tell us a little bit about how your journey was to creating this bestseller?
Yeah, this book there when I told the Air Force, hey, I'm gonna go ahead and separate. I've become a senior leader. I was a lieutenant colonel in the Air Force, and I had
Mm,
done command multiple times, and I had led at all the levels that I wanted to lead at, and I hit all the targets I wanted to hit in my career. And that included a bunch of very high ranking people. Like the president of the United States was definitely a highlight. But I had worked for 4-star generals when I first came in. I had worked for 3-star generals, all these high level offices. I got to be around them and see things. And every time I saw something, I would write it down in these little notebooks that I still carry around. Right, I got one right here, and I've written down a couple things just from when we were talking earlier. What I do is I put those little nuggets in there, and then I'll revisit them every year. And I do a year in review, and I put all of these years together, and I started looking at it, and I was like, this is a lot of great military leadership. Wait a minute,
mm,
this is a lot of great leadership. Wait a minute, this is a lot like what people are trying to teach but haven't really perfected. And I had been through a lot of leadership schools in the military. They put you through one about every 2 to 3 years. So I had been
mhm.
through everything that's mainstream leadership. And I noticed they were missing the mark on some things. And when I started putting my notes together with what I had written down, I was like, I got to put this out as a book. So I did what everyone does, right? I'm not sure if you did this, Glenn. I pushed it out to my community, my friends, and my close colleagues. I said, hey guys, what do you think about this? Just if you want to give it a quick read. And they were like, this is good. This is really good. Hey, I know an editor at so and so. Can I connect you? And I'm like, sure. And then that ended up being an editor at Harvard Business Review. And so I sent
Wow.
my book out to Harvard. And then I heard Dave Goggins get on and say, hey, don't let anybody publish your book. They'll own you. And I was like, I don't want to be owned. So I pulled it back from all the people I was talking to, and I started the whole journey. But the lessons are all from my career. And the way I structured it was very to the point. If you want to read my book, Glenn, you don't have to read the stories of like when I got accused of stealing a Secret Service vehicle and they told me that I was going to go to jail. Those are stories that are just meant to be entertaining. And I talk about biases that we all have in that story specifically, but I go through and I summarize everything at the end of the chapter. So you can read my book in 5 minutes and you can take it and apply it immediately. And I'm even going to tell your audience exactly how to apply it because I talk about this all the time. My niche is decision making for
Yes.
leaders.
Yes,
So
yes.
everyone has their own models. There's a OODA loop that was created by Boyd: observe, orient, decide, and act. That's a very famous Air Force military decision cycle. Most people like
Wow.
to gather all the information in the who, what, where, when, and why. And then if you're really fancy, how. So those 6 things will give you all the information you need to make a good decision. I found that the very elite level leader doesn't have time to look at all the stuff that most people think that they would. They employ people that are experts on their team to do all of that math. And then they bring the solutions and they say, which one do you want? And so you pick the best solution as a higher level leader. And that looks like life. So when faced with a problem, you get 3 things that everyone looks at. The first one is if it's money dependent and you're really worried about your budget, you're going to look at how much it costs. So that's your
Right.
how, right?
Yeah.
If you need it done immediately, like you need to get somewhere, you're going to look at when. How much time is it going to take? When can it be done? And then you're going to find somebody that can do it. And what I found is to make better decisions, you flip the script and you start looking at who can do it first. And then you ask them, how much time is this going to take? How much money do you need? And you'll
Wow.
be
What a lesson.
surprised. You'll be surprised that it costs less money and it gets done quicker because you're asking the right person instead of doing it the opposite way and then finding out the person you hired wasn't the right person to begin with.
That's, I tell you what, that kind of really resonated with me because I think you gave all of us find people who are going to do the job.
That's right.
And then first thing is going to get done better.